See, everybody want to be seen. That's the problem these days. Folks want to post it, tweet it, snap it, gram it, and then tag 20 people just so the world knows, look, I'm doing something. But let me tell you something real. Growth, real growth. It don't need no stage. It doesn't need applause. It don't need validation from your followers. It needs one thing, commitment. Let me break it down for you. A seed doesn't grow on a platform. A seed grows in dirt, in silence, in darkness. Nobody clapping for that seed. Nobody hyping it up. But it's in there, working, fighting through the soil, stretching itself, rooting itself. Nobody watching that seed when it's struggling, but that don't stop the growth. See what I'm saying? That's how God works on you too. He don't show everybody what he's doing in your life while he's doing it. He waits until you're ready to break through. But that breakthrough don't come without the silent seasons. You want spotlight. You gotta earn it in the shadows. Now let me be real with you. Commitment is boring. Oh yeah, it's waking up early when you don't feel like it. It's showing up when nobody knows you're there. It's doing the work when you ain't got no audience, no likes, no retweets, no shoutouts. But that's where the magic happens. When you get consistent with your grind, even when the world ain't watching, that's when you start building something that lasts. I remember when I was struggling. Man, I had dreams bigger than my bank account. I was broke, sleeping in my car, but I was committed. I wasn't out there yelling, I'm gonna be a star. Nah, I was out there doing the work. Every night I'd write jokes, rehearse my delivery, hustle for the next gig. And guess what? Nobody saw that part, nah. Nobody filmed that grind. But that silence, that season of quiet faith, it built the foundation for everything I got now. See, some of y'all want the result, but you don't want the silence. You want to skip the dirt and go straight to the bloom. It don't work like that. You can't microwave destiny. You gotta cook it slow. Let it simmer. Let it develop. And most of all, stay committed when it feels like nothing's happening. God don't reward the flashy. He rewards the faithful. That means when you're tired, but you show up anyway. When you don't get the recognition, but you keep pushing. When you feel invisible, but you trust that you're being shaped for something greater. You stay committed because your why is stronger than your need for attention. So don't you get discouraged if nobody sees your grind right now. Don't you lose heart if the world ain't clapping for you yet. Because growth ain't for show, it's for strength. And when your moment comes, when God finally shines that light on what he's been building in you, baby, it's gonna be undeniable. They gonna wonder, where did this come from? And you'll know it came from those silent nights, that lonely work, that unshakable commitment. Work hard in silence. Let the results make the noise. Everybody got a mouth on them nowadays. People talk big, they talk fast, they talk loud, they say what they're gonna be, what they're gonna do, how rich they'll be by next year. But let me tell you something. Talk is cheap, real cheap. And it don't cost nothing to run your mouth. But success, real success, that costs something. That takes work. That takes discipline. That takes showing up and showing out. Not with words, but with results. See, you don't have to explain yourself when your life starts showing the fruit. You don't have to convince people to believe in you when the evidence is standing right there in front of them. Success is the loudest voice in the room, and it don't need no microphone. It walks in and people pay attention. They see what you've done, how far you've come, and that shuts everything else down. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. There was a time in my life when nobody believed in me. I had people in my own family saying, "Steve, you still doing that comedy stuff?" Like it was a joke. They said it with a smirk, like they didn't really expect nothing to come from it. I didn't argue. I didn't try to explain. I didn't pull out my dreams like a presentation. You know what I did. I went to work. I put my head down and stayed on my grind. Years later, they saw me on TV. They saw my name on billboards. And guess what? The same folks that doubted me, they ain't laughing no more. They're proud now. They brag on me. But I didn't have to say a word to convince them. My success did all the talking. It said everything I never could have put into words. Too many of y'all out here trying to prove something with your mouth instead of your movement. You're out here making announcements instead of making progress. You want to tell folks your plan when you should be out there executing it. Let me tell you, a silent worker is a powerful force. While other people are talking, you're building. While they're flexing for the gram, you're grinding for your future. That's how it's done. You know what success does. It shuts up the lies. It silences the haters. It makes people who once ignored you start paying attention. But you don't get there by trying to impress people too early. You get there by doing the work and letting the outcome do the speaking. People don't follow talkers. They follow doers. They follow results. They follow people who deliver, not just declare. And when success speaks, it says everything for you. It says you stayed faithful when it was hard. It says you kept going when it would have been easier to quit. It says you believed in something bigger than what you could see. And trust me, there's no louder, no clearer message than that. So stop talking so much about what you're going to do and just do it. Don't worry about who's watching, who's clapping, who's doubting. Let your life, your real, visible, undeniable success, tell the story. Because when the results show up, they speak with authority. They don't ask for attention, they demand it. Let your success speak. It'll say more than your words ever could. And it'll say it so loud, nobody will be able to ignore it. We live in a world that's addicted to noise. Everybody trying to be the loudest in the room, thinking that volume equals value. Social media got people thinking that if you're not shouting about your life, you're not living one. Folks out here chasing clout instead of chasing character. But let me tell you something from experience. Noise don't build nothing. Not a legacy, not a future, not a name that lasts beyond your breath. What builds legacy is discipline. Discipline is the secret sauce. It's what separates the ones who just talk about it from the ones who actually make it. Discipline is showing up every single day. Not just when you feel inspired, not just when people are watching, but even on the days when you feel tired, alone and unrecognized. That's the real grind. That's where the blueprint of greatness is drawn. When I was younger, I used to think talent would take me all the way. I thought if I was funny enough, charming enough, smart enough, I'd be all right. But I learned quick. Talent without discipline is a waste. You can have all the gifts in the world, but if you don't know how to harness them, control them, and put them to work consistently, you're going to lose every single time to the one who shows up with discipline. Look, you don't have to announce everything you're doing. You don't have to make noise about every small step. That ain't building legacy, that's feeding ego. Discipline, on the other hand, is quiet. It's humble. It don't need to broadcast itself. It's just out there day after day, stacking wins, building habits, pushing through pain, staying focused when distractions come knocking. Some of the strongest people I know, they don't say much. They just move, they just execute. They don't argue about who's the best. They become the best through discipline. They don't chase attention, they chase purpose. And when you're chasing purpose, when you're building a legacy, you don't have time for noise. You're too busy growing, learning, adjusting, sacrificing. That ain't glamorous. That don't get you likes, but it gets you results. Let me ask you something. When your name comes up years from now, what do you want it to mean? What do you want people to say about how you lived? Because nobody's gonna remember how loud you were. They're gonna remember how consistent you were, how disciplined you were. What kind of impact you made when nobody was clapping for you, when the cameras weren't rolling, when you were just grinding in the dark. Discipline is legacy insurance. That's what it is. It protects your purpose. It carries your vision forward when motivation runs out. Because motivation is like a match. It burns hot, but it don't last long. Discipline, that's the firewood. That's what keeps the fire burning even when the wind picks up and the world tries to blow you out. So stop worrying about making noise. Stop trying to be seen before you're seasoned. The people who leave real impact, they didn't get there by shouting. They got there by showing up day after day with no excuses, no shortcuts, and no need to be the center of attention. They just stayed committed. And that's what you need to do. Discipline is the builder of legacies, the quiet force that makes your name echo long after the noise has faded. Everybody loves the idea of overnight success. It's flashy, it's exciting, it looks easy. Folks see someone on TV, on the big stage, or driving that dream car and say, "Man, they came up fast." No, they didn't. What you saw was the result, not the grind. That overnight success, that was 10, maybe 15 years of behind-the-scenes hustle. It was sacrifice, struggle, rejection, and work. Done quietly, done faithfully, done when nobody was clapping. Let me be honest with you. I know what that grind feels like. I didn't get here by accident. I didn't just wake up funny one morning, hop on TV and have folks handing me checks. Nah, man. I was broke. I was sleeping in my car. I was bombing on stage night after night and still getting up to do it all again for years. And the crazy thing? Nobody saw that part. Nobody saw the tears. Nobody saw the times I almost quit. They just saw the success. And that's how it always goes. People want the shine, but they don't want the shadows. They want the harvest, but not the planting. And let me tell you something about that planting season. It's lonely. It's quiet. It's uncomfortable. But it's necessary. That's where the real you gets built. That's where your character gets stretched. That's where you develop the kind of toughness it takes to carry the blessing you're asking for. You see, God doesn't just hand out success like it's a lottery ticket. He builds it in layers. He teaches you through the process. He teaches you through the no's, through the closed doors, through the jobs that didn't work out. He teaches you when you're getting overlooked, because what you call delay, God calls development. And when it finally happens, when that breakthrough comes, it looks sudden to everybody else. But you know the truth. It wasn't sudden. It was survival. Let's get one thing straight. Success isn't about talent alone. It's about how long you're willing to work when nobody is rewarding you. Can you keep showing up? Can you keep putting in work when the checks are small, when the feedback is quiet, when the crowd is thin? That's what separates the real ones from the dreamers. That's what creates legends. Every successful person you admire, every one of them, had a season of silence. They had a season where nobody believed in them, where they questioned themselves, where all they had was faith and a fire in their belly. They didn't skip the process. They trusted it. That's why when they arrived strong, with stories, with scars, with gratitude. And let me tell you something. If you're in that silent season right now, don't resent it. Respect it. That quiet hustle you're doing, it's building your future. It's building your voice. It's building your legacy. The world may not see you right now, but that don't mean you're not moving. That don't mean God ain't working behind the scenes, preparing your moment. Just because it's not loud doesn't mean it's not powerful. So stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Stop looking at other people's highlight reels and thinking you're behind. You're not behind, you're being built. And when your moment comes, when the spotlight finally hits you, you'll be ready. Not because you made noise, but because you made moves. Overnight success is never overnight. It's 10 years of showing up without applause and still giving it everything you've got. Let me tell you something real. The moment you start talking about your dreams too early, too loud, too often, you're inviting people into a space they don't understand. And when folks don't understand something, what do? They doubt it, they criticize it, they water it down. You're out here with a seed God planted in you, and you're trying to show it to people who ain't ready to see it grow. That's dangerous. Because doubters don't destroy you with action. They destroy you with words, with doubt, with hesitation, with that look in their eye. Like you really think you can do that? See, talking opens the door for all that. You say, I'm going to start a business, and here come the voices. What if it fails? Ain't nobody going to buy that. You sure you want to risk that job for this? The moment you start talking, you give people space to insert their fear into your future. Now you walking around not just carrying your dream, you carrying their doubt too. And that's heavy. But working is different. When you get in the zone, keep your head down and go after it without all the noise. You shut people up without saying a word. When you keep showing up, keep improving, keep growing, and they start seeing changes in you. Now you're building believers. People respect results. They can't argue with progress. That's when the conversation shifts from you can't to how'd you do it. And I know this from experience. Back in the day, I told people I was gonna be on TV. I told them I was gonna make it in comedy. They looked at me like I was crazy, straight up. They said, "Steve, man, come on, be realistic." And after a while, I stopped talking. I stopped trying to convince people. I got quiet and I got to work. I wrote, I performed, I traveled. I slept in my car just to keep chasing that dream. And guess what? Now them same folks, they watch me every morning on TV. They buy tickets. They quote me. But it didn't happen because I talked them into believing. It happened because I worked until they had no choice but to believe. You gotta understand, talk is cheap. But discipline, consistency, and grit, that's expensive. That costs you time, energy, comfort, and sometimes relationships. But if you stay focused, keep pushing without always having to explain yourself, something powerful starts happening. Your work becomes undeniable. You don't have to argue anymore. You don't have to defend your vision. People see it with their own eyes. And look, it ain't about proving people wrong. That's too small of a goal. It's about proving to yourself that what God put inside of you was real, that you had what it took to bring it to life. You don't need to announce every move. You don't need to post every grind session. Just build, just create. Let the results tell the story. The right people will see your dedication. The right people will notice the elevation. You don't need to convince them. Your consistency will. Your focus will. And by the time they catch on, you'll be too far gone to hear their doubt anyway. When you stop talking and start working, you stop inviting doubters and start creating believers. And believers move mountains. See, these days, everybody want to announce everything before they even start. They post the idea before they take the first step. They tell the world their plans before they put in any real work. And then, when it doesn't happen the way they said it would, they disappear, embarrassed, confused, disappointed. You know why? Because the announcement was louder than the action. And let me tell you something, that's backwards. If you really want to make noise, don't do it with your mouth. Do it with your moves. Don't tell them you're working. Let the work show up first. Don't say, "Watch what I'm about to do." Just do it and let them be shocked. Let them be caught off guard when they see you walking in the thing they never thought you'd reach. There's power in the element of surprise, but it only comes when your actions are doing the talking. Let me break it down like this. When I was just starting out in stand-up comedy, I had dreams. Big ones. I wanted to be on TV, have my own shows, travel the world, make real impact. But I didn't go around telling everybody. I wasn't making speeches at cookouts about what I was gonna do. I was in the clubs. I was on the stage, I was working. And years later, when folks saw me on TV, they were like, "Wait, Steve Harvey. Man, he really did it." But that surprise, that wasn't for show. That was a reward for staying quiet and staying focused. When you make big announcements, you put pressure on yourself. You start performing instead of progressing. You start worrying about people watching you instead of working on what's inside you. And when things don't go as planned, because let's be honest, nothing ever goes exactly as planned. You feel stuck, embarrassed, chained to what you said instead of free to adjust, to grow, to move in silence. You don't need that kind of stress. What you need is consistency. Work behind the scenes. Let them think nothing's happening. Let them assume you've fallen off, slowed down, or given up, then show up with the results. Let them see the house you built when they thought you were just dreaming. Let them witness the transformation after they stop checking in on you. That moment right there, that's powerful. That's better than any announcement you could have made, because now they see it, they feel it, and they respect it. You know what else happens when you lead with action instead of announcements? You stop seeking approval. That's important. When you're not constantly telling people what you're up to, you're not waiting on their reaction, their permission, their blessing. You're just moving in faith, trusting the process and letting God handle the outcome. And when that outcome shows up strong and undeniable, it speaks louder than anything you could have said. Let your progress be the plot twist. Let your next move be so solid, so undeniable, that it catches people mid-sentence. While they were talking about who they thought would win, boom, there you are, standing in your purpose, standing in your moment. Not because you hyped it, but because you worked it. You don't need to say a word when your life becomes the proof. Let your actions be the surprise party nobody saw coming, but everybody's gonna remember. The real flex isn't telling them what you're about to do. It's showing up and letting your success do the introducing.